This is Arizona Cat's Eye News.
Horrible to see, and it's really alarming. Like, anything could happen. People don't think it's gonna happen to them, but then once it happens on your campus, it's like wow.
Anti-Semitic incidents reaching an all-time high nationally. How this is connected to the University of Arizona, coming up.
My dad helped me basically build the bus from the ground up.
And not your typical barber will tell you how a Tucson man reinvented his business on wheels.
I'm Jordan Pollock, and I'll be tracking your weather on this already sizzling summer morning. I'll have more updates for you coming up in a bit.
Good morning, Anna Maynard here. We'll take a look at how several athletes are making a difference in the community. You don't want to miss them.
Good morning and buenos dias, Tucson. Welcome to Arizona's Cat's Eye. I'm Lily Carlson.
And I'm Lila Gelbiand. We have a lot to cover this morning. Iniciamos con las noticias más importantes. Let's start with our top stories. Anti-Semitic incidents reached an all-time high last year in the U.S. The newest report by the Anti-Defamation League tracked about 10 incidents of vandalism and violence a day. They say this is the largest number of incidents against Jews in the U.S. recorded by ADL since 1979.
Cat's Eye reporter Grace Trejo takes a look at how this is impacting the University of Arizona community and why Jewish organizations believe the murder of beloved Professor Thomas Meixner is linked to anti-Semitism.
The University of Arizona is home to almost 5,000 Jewish undergraduates. When the details about the anti-Semitic threats a UA professor received from the alleged killer of Professor Thomas Meixner, Jessica McCormick, director of the Hillel Foundation at the University of Arizona, says she felt the school ignored too many red flags and did not take the proper precaution to protect the Jewish community.
When it came to light later that actually the murderer was a virulent anti-Semite, mistakenly thought that Professor Meixner was Jewish, and that the university knew this for a long time, I became really increasingly concerned that my students and staff were left more vulnerable.
Many Jewish students were unaware of what was happening on campus. Much like Jonathan Kleinerman, a member of the University of Arizona's Alpha Epsilon Pi chapter, which is roughly made up of 80% Jewish members.
On that day, it's called Yom Kippur, and many observing Jews tend to not use any electronics that day, and it'll be fast all day. And so I was at Chabad, the same place that I was talking about earlier. We were in prayers and everything. I didn't use my phone at all that day, and I found out about all that stuff like the night after. I mean, it's horrible to see, and it's really alarming. Like, anything could happen. People don't think it's gonna happen to them. But then once it happens on your campus, it's like wow.
The shooting happened across from Hillel, where McCormick, her staff, and any students utilizing the space were left in the dark about what was happening.
Nobody thought to be in touch with us that day. They didn't think right across the street, it's a very important day of the year for the Jews.
McCormick says she has been working with the university since the incident, helping train law enforcement and senior administration, working through communication protocols, and working to build an advisory council. As far as Professor Meixner's family, they have filed a $9 million claim against the university. Kagan's latest report reveals Meixner's last words were, "I knew you were going to do this to me." For Cat's Eye News, I'm Grace Trejo reporting.
If the Arizona Board of Regents fails to respond to the family's claim, the family said they will file a formal lawsuit.
Protesters on the University of Arizona campus caused controversy due to photos they put on display. The large images compared abortion to historic mass genocides. The anti-abortion demonstration was sponsored by a student organization, College Republicans. Reporter Paige Johnson was at the protest and has the reactions.
Protests on the UA campus continued for 2 days late last week. The display, comparing abortion to genocide by College Republicans United, has received backlash for their extreme views. Alumni Board President Ron D'Souza says they were trying to expose the gruesome truth about abortion.
I believe that we're accomplishing some goals. I've had some very nice, very productive dialogues where we've been able to come to like a middle ground conclusion.
Many have a different view on the message. UA graduate student Brendan Risk believes this isn't the right way to show the seriousness of abortion.
The thing that really offends me about this mural is putting up pictures of genocides
and trying to equate genocide to this.
It has also caused an uproar in many other UA groups. A call to action was created for this abortion rights counter-protest behind me today in response to the graphic photos on display.
I don't think that what's going on campus is right at all. It's not free speech, it's hate speech, and I just am here to stand up for my rights.
Counter-protesters, including Skylar Zinini, also expressed their disappointment in administration. Admin has been reached out to, but has yet to give a response. In Tucson, I'm Paige Johnson reporting.
The family of former Arizona Governor Raul Castro is suing the University of Arizona. The lawsuit claims the university breached their contract by putting a home they had donated to the school up for sale. Court records say the university made promises to use the home as part of a border studies program. They also claim the home has been used to profit by using the family's image. Zillow's records show the Castro Nogales home is up for sale for $300,000.
So basically, we're trying to get them to only stop the sale. We want them to commit to actually doing something with their house, because they promised they would do it. So basically, they have breached their promise, you know what I mean, to begin with.
Castro has been Arizona's first and only Latino governor. We reached out to the university and haven't received a response yet. We will update this story as it develops. So far this year, lawmakers have introduced almost 500 anti-trans bills around the country. This according to the Trans Legislation Tracker.
Meanwhile, here in our state, the Arizona Senate has passed a series anti-LGBTQ+ bills this session.
SB 1001 makes it illegal for teachers and other school personnel to respect the pronouns of a trans or non-binary student without written parental permission. This bill is heading to the House floor.
SB 1005 leaves schools open to the threat of litigation for providing supportive and affirming spaces for LGBTQ+ students. SB 1040 bans trans students and school personnel from using school restrooms that match their gender identity and allows people to sue schools if they share a restroom or similar school facility with a trans person.
The Arizona Mirror reports that two bills, SB 1028 and SB 1030, would create harsh penalties for some drag shows. Governor Katie Hobbs is expected to veto discriminatory anti-LGBTQ+ bills once they reach her desk.
ASUA has a new student body president, Junior Alyssa Sanchez, will serve as the next student body president, replacing current president Patrick Robles. Sanchez said she hopes to connect further with the student body and push for the continuation of free transit. Public transportation has been free ride for all people in Tucson since the start of the pandemic in March of 2020. But it's been reported that the years after transportation became free, there's been roughly a 60% raise in nonviolent crimes, such as broken windows, graffiti, and among others.
Have had calls about homeless people or just people coming and loitering near the pick up and stop locations for the streetcar. There are several through the campus and right around the outside perimeter.
The chief of police in Tucson, Chad Kazmar, stated in a recent interview to K-Gun 9 that there's been a decrease in violent and property crime, but a surge in gun violence in Tucson.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump made history last month when he became the first president to be charged with criminal activity. Trump is accused of 34 felony counts of falsified business records relating to the 2016 campaign hush money payments. He pleaded not guilty. So what happens next? Juan Merchan, the New York judge handling Trump's case, set an August deadline for Trump to file motions. Prosecutors have until September to respond. CBS News reports that Merchan will likely issue decisions on the motions early in December when Trump is expected to return to court. Multiple legal experts anticipate that it will possibly take a year plus to reach trial due to these motions.
Pima County and students at the University of Arizona Law School partnered to break new ground in the judicial system nationwide. This partnership allows students at the University of Arizona Law School and members of the Arizona Marijuana Expungement Coalition to find and help eligible people under Prop 207 to have their marijuana-related convictions removed.
By partnering with the city, we can reach, this is potentially up like 10 to 15,000 people with eligible charges.
To find more information about this program and eligibility, visit azexpunge.org.
The legalization of marijuana following Prop 207 opened a whole new industry in Tucson for glassblowing artists to work. I had the chance to visit one shop here in Tucson that is trying to create a safe haven for artists to learn the trade. Sunset Glass Gallery opened almost 2 years ago and has been making headway in the glassblowing community within Tucson. They claim to be paving the way for what buying glassware should look like to the public.
I wanted to create an environment for glassblowers and kind of a community in Tucson that has been lacking.
Sunset Glass Gallery owner Aspen Owens is a hotshot, a former 10-year Forest Service firefighter who is now living his dream job as a glassblower to help make a difference.
The goal for this whole thing is kind of creating a community that where people can feel comfortable coming and hanging out, and giving artists an outlet to something that they haven't really been able to have access to.
Artists and employees like Kyle Oliver believe that the shop helps to take away some of the stigma a traditional smoke shop has.
It's for the new era, the new culture of consumers, and it's really a non-intimidating, you can come in here, you can bring your family.
Owens prides his shop on being accessible for everyone.
I think every person should be able to come in and have the same experience, whether it's a $2 thing or a $3,000 thing.
Owens sees this as his way of helping people do what they truly want to do with no judgment.
The cannabis community is very and generally just happy and like good-hearted people, and they naturally want to kind of help others that have less.
Since January 2021, the Arizona cannabis market has totaled over $2.6 billion in sales. With a 16% sales tax, the recreational marijuana industry is one of the state's largest tax contributors in the state of Arizona. For Cat's Eye News, I'm Lily Carlson.
Light pollution or artificial light at night is rapidly reducing the number of stars you're able to see when looking up into the night sky. While the infiltration of light pollution continues to globally soar, Arizona fights to overcome it.
The University of Arizona is part of a program with the International Dark Sky Association to research light ordinances and other various light laws around the country.
Golf is a commonly enjoyed pastime all over the state, but maintaining a golf course in a dry climate requires tapping into a water supply that experts say could ultimately be used for other purposes.
Groundwater as our primary water source. So we have some water that comes out the Colorado River, the cap water, but primarily we're using groundwater. That's actually old groundwater. It's not necessarily being recharged by precipitation. So when you water a golf course, you're actually pulling old water to the surface to keep that vegetation green.
According to TucsonAZ.gov, Tucson first used reclaimed groundwater on its golf courses in 1975.
And your most accurate forecast right now.
Through this weekend, the high staying in the mid to high 80s, hitting 90 on Sunday. Summer's the best time to leave Tucson and head back to your respective homes. But for those staying in the 502, summers are burning hot with sprinkles of the bipolar monsoon season. The monsoons come with heavy rain and lightning storms, typically starting in June and last through September. Regardless of blazing hot days in the hundreds or pouring rain and flooded streets, staying inside is the likely best option for most. Staying inside comes with its own challenges though, like an increase in electricity bills. TEP's proposal to increase your electricity bill by about $14 moves forward. The company claims the rate increase will support cleaner energy and reliable services. But what does that mean for your pocket? Here's my report with an insight into the proposal and why some residents say it will impact those already struggling with their bill.
It will be by December of this year when Tucsonans will find out whether or not they will pay for more electricity. The Arizona Corporation Commission is expected to vote in favor or against the proposal at the December 5th meeting. Tucsonans had the opportunity to voice their concerns in a series of public meetings, but for some residents like Rashad Stevenson, those meetings don't represent all members of the community.
You know, not everyone's working at, a living wage. Not everyone's fortunate enough to be in, a situation like I am now where I can afford my bills. And a lot of times, a lot of people are only making it by check.
Stevenson is a biomedical engineer with Roche Tissue Diagnostics and returned to live at home with his mother for some time after his father passed away in 2021 from COVID-19.
When I first started helping out my mom with the bills, she asked me to pay everything except for the electric bill because the electric bill was so much, actually. If I remember correctly, it was around $700 or $800 per month. Any type of increase to any bill really starts to limit what you can do and what you can afford, especially for something so dependent as electricity.
With the race, TEP is hoping to generate 70% of their energy by ways of wind and solar by 2035. For further questions on the issue, go online to www.tep.com/rate-proposal/.
Sources inside the city of Tucson have said that if TEP is successful with the extension, they do plan to run underground lines through the city. With your weather from Tucson with Cat's Eye News, I'm Jordan Pollock.
He's not your typical barber. We'll tell you how a Tucson man reinvented his business on wheels.
Stay with us. You don't want to miss out on how athletes are becoming more than just competitive figures.
The pandemic left many barbershops and salons struggling to survive financially, with people canceling appointments or with the shutdown orders in many states to prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
But as reporter Leah Britton tells us, a young man from Tucson decided to not give up on his dream and instead enjoy the ride.
Luis Rivera is the man behind Luis's Barber Bus, a mobile barber shop serving the Tucson community one cut at a time. Luis started his barber bus during the pandemic, a time he says many of his clients found themselves without access to a barber. When lockdown forced the shop that Luis had been working in to close, he realized he wanted to try a new approach. In response to a growing demand for at-home services during the COVID-19 pandemic, Luis created his barber bus with the help of his father. The pair bought the bus, painted, and furnished it, and thus, Luis's barber bus was born.
My dad helped me basically build the bus from the ground up with anything with like the barber pole, the TV, the lights. I reorganized a couple things here and there, but overall he did everything from structuring to mechanical.
Since then, Luis has been able to bring his affordable services to clients all over Tucson, like longtime friend Mario Weiss.
Sometimes you're so busy and when you take time out of your day and you add it to driving, it can be a little hectic. So when I knew he was offering the barber bus and cuts at home, and he was charging I think he undercharges, to be honest, but when he was charging his prices, I was like, hey, this is super convenient.
And the support of the community has been overwhelming. Luis says the bus has been a hit since he first began the journey.
Anywhere I park, I always have one or two people, looking at it and asking me a question, or even like trying to get a haircut right after I'm doing something like this, so.
Eventually, Luis hopes to grow his business and open his own shop or barber school. But in the meantime, he's enjoying the ride. Reporting from Tucson, I'm Leah Britton.
Lactation spaces are having a great impact at the University of Arizona campus. 35 lactation pods are now in part a family-friendly initiative by the UA. Students and staff had the opportunity to apply for a room or pod in their desired location. The Office of University Initiatives are hoping for another round of funding in the future so that they can continue these efforts. You can find the nearest location at lifework.arizona.edu.
Students in the University of Arizona Theater Department fear for their degrees after the school ended the musical theater, design, and technology programs for the upcoming school year. The school has a reputation of being one of the best for musical theater programs, with many alumni performing on Broadway. Some students and alumni say they felt outraged at the decision from the university.
People aren't going to want to go to a program that has been kind of tainted by this idea that the people, the higher-ups, don't care about the actors and don't care about the profession of acting, and it's quite frankly a little offensive.
We reached out to the school but have yet to receive a response to our specific questions.
Weaving is one of the most ancient and sacred practices for the Navajo Nation. The skill, which is often only passed on by a family member, has been recognized throughout the U.S. And as CATS reporter Danny Cazares tells us, it's all thanks in part to Tucson women.
Barbara Tella Ornelas is a fifth-generation master Navajo weaver. Her work highlights the Navajo community with tapestries that were taught by her ancestors.
This is probably my most
popular size is 16 by 25 inches, and it usually takes me anywhere from 3 to 4 months to complete them.
It is not just the skills of weaving that is a part of the process, but it's also the thoughts that go into it.
I say a prayer before I start weaving. I try to be in balance, you know. I try to keep anything negative out of this room, because this room's been blessed over and over, so I could continue my work.
The Navajo Nation views weaving as a spiritual process and a significant aspect of their lives. They believe that a woman's spirit is incorporated into the rug as she weaves. Ornelas emphasizes this as she was taught by her family members.
I would listen to my grandmother weave at nighttime, you know, or early in the morning, and the pounding of her comb. She would tell me that that's the heartbeat of our family. You know, when you hear that sound, that means our family is still alive, and that's what connects us to our work.
Ornelas' work is displayed in museums and festivals throughout the United States. Her pieces have also won several awards. Her most recent award being the 2003 Fellow Award, where she received an unrestricted $50,000.
I'm just real blessed and humble, you know, because every dollar that I make, I work very hard for. And then to be awarded, you know, this way, it's just, I'm very humble and grateful.
Ornelas plans on using her award to buy more tools so she can continue to make more pieces for the community. Navajo Nation reminds Tucson to not forget the sacred ground we stand on. For Cat's Eye News, I'm Daniela Cáceres.
I'm Anna Maynard, here with the hottest news in college and professional sports. Let's start with our top stories.
Let's get started.
A member of the University of Arizona women's basketball team has made it to the big time. Jade Lovell became the 11th Wildcat in history to be drafted into the WNBA's third-round pick for the Seattle Storm. Following March Madness, or as some University of Arizona students would call it, March Sadness, the men's basketball team is seeing major changes on their roster. Point guard Kerr Kriisa will be playing for West Virginia starting next season. However, the program is rumored to pick up Ryan Nembhard after the Creighton athlete entered the transfer portal. Moving from the court to the green, Phil Mickelson delivered a record-breaking performance at the Masters tournament, putting up the lowest score from a player over 50 in the tournament's history with an astounding second-place finish overall. Mickelson famously left the PGA Tour in 2022 to play for Live Golf, a rival tour funded by the Saudi Arabian government. In fashion news, Steph Curry signed a $75 million lifetime contract with Under Armour, a move that will keep his decade-long ties with the brand past the end of his career. And now let's take it to the field with reporter Miles Smith and the latest on local athletes making a difference in the community.
Thank you, Anna. Today I have several stories to share with you. From football player and student athlete during the week to Airbnb owner on the weekend. Gunnar Maldonado, the 21-year-old Arizona native, says he's working consistently to reach his goal on and off the field.
Real estate is one of the best ways you can gain passive income.
After Airbnb company launched in 2007, the number of homes and homestayers has increased. Just in 2022, Airbnb reported over 150 million users and 500 million guests. Young adults only make up a small percentage of the total hosts for Airbnb. But that does not stop Gen Zers like Maldonado from continuing his rental business anytime soon.
Another athlete working hard, history was made last week from Arizona women's beach volleyball team, as senior captain Sarah Blacker accomplished an incredible feat.
Blacker recently broke the school program record for most wins by an individual beach volleyball player at the U of A. She recorded her 87th career win for the Wildcats in a dominating 4-1 victory over UTEP.
It's crazy to think that out of all the amazing players here that I was able to do that, because I do look up to a lot of the past girls and present in my team, so knowing that I was able to achieve that is really exciting for me.
Getting paid to play sports has always been a dream for kids. When Arizona's baseball player Tyler Casagrande got that opportunity, he used it for good.
The NCAA passed the Name, Image, and Likeliness Bill, NIL, back in July of 2021. College athletes making money has been a huge issue for decades. Now it's legal. Athletes can partner with brands to advertise themselves. These NIL deals have become huge amounts of money, but money isn't everything for some people. Like college baseball player Tyler Casagrande, he was able to use his NIL for good.
I signed a deal with Breaking Tea, which was my NIL deal, and then I decided to donate all my earnings to Banner in Tucson to the pediatric cancer sector.
Back to you in the studio, Anna.
Keeping you up to date on the latest in athletics, I'm Anna Maynard. See you next semester.
With the summer approaching, many local businesses that thrive from the student population during the school year are preparing for their slow season through the summer.
The way that we do our staffing during the summers is if you're a full-time staff member, you have guaranteed hours. You are our first priority to make sure that you are the one who gets put on the schedule. If you're part-time, it's first come, first serve.
Scented Leaf tries to pick up its revenue streams during summer by renting out its Congress location for events as well as push catering orders.
Located in the Tucson, the largest barrio in the United States, Barrio Viejo's rich history is finally being recognized, containing the legendary El Tiradito Shrine. The barrio is slated to receive a Landmark Designation Award by mid-2023. Cat's Eye reporter Dylan Grouse explores the award-winning neighborhood.
Located in the downtown area off of South Main Ave, the Barrio Viejo has for a long time been a historic part of Tucson. The legendary El Tiradito Shrine on Simpson Street has provided renewed recognition of the barrio and has preserved the Mexican culture that is so prevalent in Tucson.
Barrio Viejo actually is a very historical neighborhood. Lots of people that have been here for generations of families. So the shrine does mean a lot to the history and to the culture of the barrio.
Sierra Zamora, a fellow U of A student and a La Suprema employee, is a Tucson native and has seen the renewed focus on the once forgotten neighborhood improve. Zamora's work at the front desk has allowed her to interact with all kinds of different people that come in to visit the neighborhood.
It's just a very historical building. This used to be a tortilla factory, and so we have lots of families, generations of families who come in and they know a lot about our building, and they also share their stories about how their family members used to either come here to eat or come work here.
Meanwhile, La Suprema community builder Jacinda Esquer sees the landmark designation because of the shrine as a way to get a new generation of people to come check out a staple of Tucson.
Put the barrio kind of on the map and give it credibility to its historical significance. And pays homage to the folks that lived here originally and all the changes that have happened in the neighborhood over the years, for everyone else to recognize the significance of it.
Behind me is the El Tiradito Shrine, which was built in 1871 and is dedicated to an adulterer who was murdered by his father-in-law. According to a legend, if you leave a candle lit overnight and it stays lit through the night, your wish will come true. Once considered a poor neighborhood, the barrio fell under disrepair during many years of the 20th century. However, throughout the last few decades, there have been signs of extreme gentrification. In Tucson, Dylan Grouse, Cat's Eye News.
I cannot believe that I've not gone to check it out. It seems super cool.
Yeah, and maybe I'll go check out the shrine and see if I'm lucky enough to get my wish granted.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
And summer break, we'll see you in August.